So my first thoughts were that this question 1 was probably the hardest one to tackle. But actually, students that did attempt it did pretty well. I think they knew their stuff and they were quite precise in how they answered the question. So just getting started on the first bit, it's a clear difference. So mixed economies, you need to define what that means. So mixed economies is where both the government does intervene, but the market does allocate resources through what's called the price mechanism. And so you need to define a couple of things. So that's probably the first thing to define. Second is a thing called market forces. And so most people went this way and did some kind of supply and demand and supply. If the demand changes, that provides a signal to suppliers that there is more demand being in the market. And that signal leads to them increasing their quantity supplied at that new price because they've got the profit incentive. So the profit incentive is that they will make more of that stuff. And because of that, you get a change in the allocation of resources. So you might have been at a point there on a frontier or say here, but you're shifting to a different combination because of this incentive and the signaling of prices from the first example. And these resources are the factors of production, which the land, labour, capital, and entrepreneurship. Governments can intervene in the market in a different way, and you can talk about how they do that through things like price controls and the allocation of public goods and merit goods, so on and so forth. And just a quick example of a kind of a student's attempt at this question. Generally a good introduction at the start, talking about the difference between private sector being profit motivated and the way that governments work, providing goods that have a societal benefit, merit goods. Introduction at the start. This is an okay thing to draw because it does show allocation of resources. I do think you need to link it back to what's called the price signaling effect and how that's an incentive and dictates what happens here. People did either or, but probably not many people did both diagrams for this kind of question. And actually, what are the resources being allocated? Kind of talk about the opportunity cost of labour and capital that's been determined by the market. Jumping across to what the government does. Well, the government is part of what's called the public sector, provides merit goods where they think the market has failed. And kind of having some examples in here was really good, and a few people attempted that. And why would they intervene? It's because they recognise that there's positive externality effects. Actually, governments intervening isn't always the most efficient way. They don't necessarily have the incentive to be innovative. Quality that is being produced was mentioned by a few students. So I didn't have huge expectations for a 9 and a 10 for this question. An example was probably a bonus that got you towards the top, and really precise use of terminology.